Welcome to Sound Values, powered in part by LSA Burger.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in live tonight on DentonRadio.com and DentonRadio.com's Facebook. We are live at the beautiful Discover Denton Welcome Center and the ever-darkening Denton Square. It's getting a little darker. The seasons are changing. I've got a friend and fellow musician here with me tonight, Matt Grigsby. How you doing, buddy?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing awesome, man. Glad to have you in the studio. Glad we could get you in here.
Thanks for having
Known
me.
you for a couple years, man. You know, we started off actually working together at LSA Burger.
That's right.
And before we get into the interview, I want to tell you a funny story. You might remember this. So it was a while back during the ice apocalypse, and you told me, you were like, I live over by the Kroger. And I had no idea at this time that there were two Krogers in Denton because I didn't live off University or over in that area like I do now. And so I remember you and me were just talking, like, you know, gift of gab. And the next thing I know, we're over off 288, and you were like, hey, man, where are you going? And I was like, oh, I'm going over by the Kroger. And you're like, oh, no, it's that Kroger over there.
And that one is so much further
Yeah,
away, too.
yeah. So turn around and dropped you off. But, yeah, that was really kind of like the first time you and I kind of hung out and got to have a conversation beyond just, like, employee relationships,
Right,
man.
yeah.
So, like I was saying, you know, there's a lot of people who I've had in the studio that are friends of mine, but I don't really know a whole lot about them, you know, and when I started thinking, who do I want to get on the show, you know, I was like, you know what, we got to get Matt. I've seen Matt play multiple times. I love the music, and I'd really like to talk to this guy and get to know more about him. So we're going to start off, man, with a question that we always start off the show with.
Okay.
And it is, what is your first musical memory? And that can be either maybe the first concert you went to, first album, or like the first time you saw someone play music and you thought, like, that's something I would like to be a part of.
All right. Well, I mean, I remember being a small child and really enjoying singing and being, given like spotlights in like our little primary choir music program. You know, some of the kids got to do special concerts if they could make it through a song and not run around the room or something. You know. So as a small child, I sang. I didn't really get into the songwriting aspect later until as a teenager, early in college and stuff. But I'd say a very profound memory I had when I was a teenager was actually an infomercial.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it was Paul McCartney and the Wings.
Okay.
And they're playing all these old Beatle covers.
Oh, right on.
And so the commercial pans over the audience, and you have all this. This is just an older crowd, and they're just rocking, having a good time. And it shows some of their faces, and they're smiling. All of a sudden, they start to break down and cry because that music just takes them back to their youth. You know, it's powerful for them, and that's when it just clicked with me. I was like, that's what music is. That's the power music can have on somebody. It can define their childhood. In a tune. So that's when I kind of got the bug in it.
So was this one of those infomercials where it's like, we've got 60 songs on 4 CDs. It's on at like 2:30 in the morning.
Like that.
You know?
It was probably dozens of Beatles songs.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was probably up watching Jerry Springer. Because
Who knows? Yeah. Doing the things that exactly. I remember my mom used to get mad when I was watching Everybody Loves Raymond at like 10:30 at night. She'd be like, "Turn that off and go to bed." Yeah. A lot of.
Yeah.
So that's really cool, man. And I like how you said that music can define a childhood. I think for a lot of the people, when you talk to them about music, sometimes they can kind of forget, like, why is it that we love music so much? Like, sometimes I think when we're walking around in grocery stores or just public places, we kind of forget that if the background music was turned off, all of a sudden the space feels kind of empty.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever been at a bar and all of a sudden the music cuts for a second?
It's creepy. Silence can be, uneasing.
It's strange, especially. I mean, we forget how constantly surrounded we are by the music.
It's the background of our lives.
Yeah.
And
so you were saying that you sang choir and you were in primary school. Where did you go to school? Did you grow up in the same area, or did you move around?
I grew up in East Texas in a small town called Hallsville, which is right outside of Longview. It's right on the border, kind of central East Texas. So 45 minutes, I'd be in Shreveport.
Okay.
Pretty close. And I did. I went to the same school, kindergarten through senior year.
Right on. We were just talking about graduating classes. I told you mine. Mine was like 600. How big was yours?
I think it was just under 200. It was either just under or just over. So
okay, right on. So
not tiny, but not.
Yeah.
It was a smaller town, but the school district was pretty large.
Mm-hmm. And so growing up, when you were listening to different like what kind of music were your parents listening to when you were growing up?
Well, so I remember my mother listening to a lot of Bee Gees. For one. She loves the Bee Gees.
Yes.
She also loves Celine Dion.
Woo-wee!
And Enya.
Enya's great, though. It's kind of weird, but cool at the same time.
That's true. Yeah. And my dad, like, he's talked about how he's really into, like, Eric Clapton and Jim Croce and stuff growing up, but he would never really listen to that at home. He only wanted to listen to, like, gospel music.
Really? So he
He played a little guitar, but
he's like the teenager who kept the harder albums in the car, so mom couldn't find them. That's cool, man. So do you have any brothers and sisters?
I do. I'm the third of four.
The third of four, right on. So brothers or sisters or a mixture?
I have one older sister and one older and younger brother.
All right, very cool, man. And so you said your dad would play the guitar.
Mm-hmm.
So do you kind of remember that as a kid? Did that, in a way, besides Paul and the Wings, encourage you to maybe pick up the guitar? Was it more of a musical family?
I would say it is a musical family, even though not everybody is a musician. My dad, would strum the guitar, or chord the guitar, but never really played a lot. So no, I didn't really get the bug until later when I went to college and I saw other people playing the guitar.
Okay, cool. So did you, like, growing up, you weren't playing the guitar a whole lot?
No, and it wasn't a very vigorous music scene there either. I remember going to shows, but there wasn't much but, like, Southern metal bands.
Yeah.
Stuff,
So you didn't play anything in like, you didn't play in like the high school band or anything like that?
Nope.
Yeah.
I was choir and theater because I was super popular.
That's where all the popular dudes hung out, man. Oh man, that's funny. That's great. So you were saying not until you kind of moved out of, and it was Hallsville, right?
Hallsville.
So
right.
you move out of Hallsville, and you start to kind of explore. Where did you go from Hallsville first?
Okay, so I went straight out of high school to Kilgore Junior College, which is in that same area.
In probably Kilgore?
Yeah. Yeah. Just a little, small oil town.
Mm-hmm.
They have an oil museum.
Oh, man.
Home of the Rangerettes. But I was a theater major there for a couple years, and that's when, some of the other theater majors were playing guitar.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of started to learn from them. I probably got my first guitar somewhere around 19 in that area.
Very cool. Well, what made you want to get into theater? What was it about theater? Were you acting, or were you part of the?
I was.
Okay.
Yeah, I was acting. I always hated technical theater, so
yeah,
I had to do it, but I didn't want to do it.
What kind of what did you what kind of plays were you a part of? Did you do any like student films or anything? Or?
No, it was pretty much all stage.
Okay.
Kilgore is actually home of the Texas Shakespeare Festival. So one of the directors I got to work with was the director of the Texas Shakespeare Festival.
Cool.
And so we got to do a Sam Shepard show. Sam Shepard is a famous playwright who actually just passed away a few weeks ago. And so we did True West. And that was a great show to be a part of. And we did some Shakespeare. We did Taming of the Shrew. We did Of Mice and Men.
Okay,
John
cool.
Steinbeck.
What was one of your favorites that you guys did?
Definitely True West was the most impactful, because it was a really small cast, and we did it in like a 3/4 round. So the set was behind me, and on all the three walls of the room, the one room the whole play takes place in, are the audience. So that's very personal.
Okay.
They're very close to you, and it's it was just my character, my character's brother, and one other cast member.
That's it. So there's just three people
the
whole
whole time?
time?
You're on stage the whole time.
Wow.
Or two of the people are on stage the whole time. And in the whole second half, you're drunk. And just, trashing the set.
Yeah. And so, like, how old were you when you were in this one?
Either 18 or 19.
Okay. That's what I was saying, man. Like, I know you, but I didn't know that you were doing theater and such cool stuff like that. Because look, man, I'll let you know a secret. I was in theater too, man.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Hush, hush. we don't want to be uncool all of a sudden, man. But yeah, I did some theater stuff too, man, and I really liked it. Yeah, I had some buddies who did student films, and I used to drive one of my buddies crazy just because I was so goofy all the time. But he's like, "You're the only person I know who, like, when I ask them to be serious, will actually take this seriously." So it's the reason I put up with you, just so you know. So you ended up going out to Kilgore Community College, and you start meeting some people who are playing guitar and other things out there. You pick up your first guitar. What would you say, like, what was maybe one of, like, the first songs you learned on the guitar when you picked it up?
The very first song I ever learned, I'm not sure if it was Johnny Cash's version of the song "Hurt"
Okay.
or this John Lennon song, "Working Man Blues" or something.
I actually don't know that one. I know "Hurt," but I don't know "Working Man Blues." Cool, man. My first was Green Day's "Time of Your Life."
That's probably a pretty popular first song.
And then after that was Nirvana's "Come As You Are."
Oh, no. I remember learning that one
Yeah,
early
it was
on
like,
too. Yeah.
yes, this is perfect.
Yeah. 'Cause at that age, I did not play the genre of music I play now. And so I was listening to I grew up listening to what my older brother was listening to, 'cause my older brother's 10 years older than I am.
Okay.
So he was listening to like Megadeth and Metallica. My very first CD was a Metallica
Really?
CD.
That's
the
awesome.
Black Album, yeah.
Did you buy that or did your brother buy it for you?
It was actually probably my parents.
Yeah.
I was like probably like 8 years old, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe 8.
My brother bought me Offspring's Americana when I was like 13 or something, and of course my mom once again was just like, that better be the edited version, because that was when if you bought stuff at Walmart, it was already pre-edited, you know. So okay, so you started playing the guitar, and were there some local kids around who you kind of started playing with? Was there any kind of a show music scene? You know, how did you kind of stick with it after the initial gets and going?
No, there was never like any formal playing. We would just, our little theater group would just kind of sneak away from the dorms, out into the woods, and have fun out in the woods and
build a
play music.
and
exactly,
and play music. Were there any like favorites? You know, everybody like has a song that they want you to play when you're around the campfire or something. But was there one that you specifically kind of learned for those moments?
Not at that point. I think those were formative years at that point.
Okay.
So I didn't click with me very much in a performance way until later on.
So did you start? You just started playing, like no lessons, no nothing like that.
No.
Did you ever you never took any formal lessons? Was it just like a chord book, or you just like tabs, or?
I used a chord book a little bit, and tabs, but mostly I just watched my friends' hands and kind of put it together over time,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when I used to jam with my buddies in high school, that's what I would do. I would look, I'd be like, okay, he's on that fret. Okay, cool. And then I remember when my buddy showed me, he was like, just stick to the frets that have the dots on them, and those all go together up to a certain area. And then the frets that don't have the dots on them fit together all to a certain area.
Yeah.
He's like, that's the one part you got to remember. That was like how I learned how to play the guitar, was based on dots. And so I learned connecting the dots was how I would do it, man. And so after college, after you're out there, where'd you end up moving around? Did you ramble around a little bit, or?
No, I went there 2 years, didn't even get a degree, and I spent the summer working, first job at Walmart, and saved up money to move to Denton. Didn't know anything about Denton. The only time I'd come up to Denton was for either choir or theater competitions.
Okay.
They host a lot of those, or UNT does, and my uncle actually went to UNT for a while, so we would come up here as a child. My grandparents would take me up here to football games.
Okay.
I've never gone to a football game since I lived here, but I did see them when I was a kid. So we moved here. I would have been 20 years old at that point.
Right on, man. I'll tell you another secret. I've never been to a football game either. All right. So you're all right, man. You're all right. So you moved up here when you were 20. If you don't mind me asking, how old are you now?
I'm 30.
Oh, I'm 32. I'm 30 as well. I had to say 30 as well, not 32. You never know how people are gonna start to think.
That's right.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. Right on, man. Okay, cool. So now I kind of see that we're growing up around a lot of that same music.
Yeah.
My older brother is he's only 5 years older than I am. So we're pretty close in the range of music that we were listening to. Plus, my brother was listening to a lot of hip hop. My cousin was like known as the guy in the like school gym who would just blare Metallica and death metal and like crank it out.
Yeah.
So when you moved up here, where did you kind of start working, and how did you kind of like get into kind of the music scene in the area? Because it's been 10 years now.
Yeah, it actually took a while. I just kind of bounced around. I would see the shows. I remember the first show I ever saw in Denton was actually Pops Carter. Abbey Underground was the boiler room at that point, and it was like his 91st birthday or something, you know, or 90th, 91st. And so that was my first dose of the Denton music scene.
Okay.
And so I got to bounce around and see some cool shows, and then eventually started going to open mics.
Mm-hmm.
And before I was playing much on my own, I was kind of just singing for this bluegrass band.
Okay.
We were apocalyptic bluegrass. we were called the Poison Whiskies.
Oh
And
man.
we were not very good. But we had fun.
Yeah. Hey. Well, that's 95% of it.
Yeah, and that got me exposed to a lot of stuff. So I was able to like see what we were doing, and I could learn all the stuff on the guitar.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually, I was able to go and just perform it on my own.
Definitely, man. And like we were talking before the show. I've seen you perform multiple times now. One of the first times I ever saw you was on the LSA rooftop. And this was after you were no longer working there, and I still was. And I was like, I had no idea this dude played, and you got up there, and I enjoyed it a lot, man. It was great. And then I saw you probably 2 months ago with my dad over at Bearded Monk, and it just seemed like you had just honed such a style, man. Like the voice, the guitar, I mean, and you play the harmonica too, so it's like, how do you go from somebody who's like, I just kind of watch the hands, is it just practice? And like, how do you get to that point?
Yeah, you just beat your head against the wall until you turn around one day and you're like, oh, I'm actually a little bit good at this now. But I think it's a lifelong pursuit,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so when you sit down to, first we'll talk the musical, concept, or like the composition. When you sit down, are you just kind of, how do you remember like the chords that you're playing? Do you know, like, can maybe not read music, but an F and a G and an E and an A and all these other chords? Like, how do you keep it organized in your head or write it down?
Well, so I guess like because I'm a vocalist first, I always think of things in terms of vocals. And when I listen to music, I have to like get my thoughts away from the vocals because it'll automatically attract my attention. And so I have to, if I'm listening to the bass, I need to concentrate on the bass. Mm-hmm. But so knowing what chord is going to sound good against this vocal tone,
okay,
I guess is how I don't. So consciously, I've learned music theory, but it just doesn't register for me very well in there. It's not how I work, I guess.
So actually, me and Jesse were talking about this when you walked in. I was talking, you got to kind of match that vocal tone with the notes that you're going to play. Mm-hmm. So you would say that you start off with a kind of a vocal idea first, like how the vocals are going to sound and kind of the rhythm of those vocals. Yeah. And then you kind of write the guitar to that. So you're kind of singing and then playing and seeing how it sounds together.
Yeah, it doesn't always happen the same way, but a lot of times. I mean, sometimes I'll write something and I may have the lyrics first, but even when putting together a melody, I'm looking at the lyrics, or I'm thinking of a lyrical line, and I'm going to make a melody out of how I would say that sentence.
Okay.
Like, we are doing an interview. We are doing an interview. We are doing an interview. So I try to think however the natural inflections of our voice when we would say a sentence, I would try to match that melody to it so that I can be conversational in my songs and a little more personal, I suppose.
That's one thing that I definitely felt when I was watching it. I felt connected to the music. And there was an overall tone to it of kind of this like solemn feel in a way, like self-recognizing, and I say that about like myself, like I'm sitting there and I'm like pondering life while I'm listening to your songs. It makes you think a little bit deeper, is how I felt about the music. So when you sit down, what's kind of the message? I mean, I'm sure each song can be different, but how do you decide the message that you're trying to portray in a song?
Well, I try, I write a lot of sad songs, but I try to have some sort of silver lining, or you have a sad song, and you get to the end and you have some sort of turnaround. So I try not to be negative in my music. But as far as a message, I guess it would vary from song to song.
Yeah. So it can kind of, I mean, once, day to day, you might feel one way one day. And especially like, your realm of music is very foreign to me. Like I played guitar and I sang when I was younger, but I wasn't good at it, especially the singing part. And so I was just kind of like, all right, we'll leave this to the people who are good and who can do this well. And so sometimes like when I hear the songs, I'm like, man, I wonder how do you come up with these words? You know, this poetic combination of words while playing the guitar and playing the harmonica at the same. You know, all of this is all encompassing, and so I'm always curious about that. Like, how do songwriters sit down and really kind of decide the direction that they're going to go in a song?
Yeah. Well, a lot of times, you know, being able to add the harmonica and stuff comes later. Sometimes you got to really learn the song, commit them to muscle memory before you can add that harmonica. Sometimes, just depending on how complicated the song is. But as far as the song and the lyrics, I like to say I try to let the song do the work.
Okay.
You know, the song wants to be written. Sometimes you just got to put pen to paper, get yourself out of the way, and let the words flow, and look at what you got.
Yeah.
Because most of the time your first instincts are correct, and you know, you shouldn't edit on your first run through. I like to write in one sitting, if possible, and
you got to get out of your own way sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, just take a step. I think that's like, you know, I've talked to some of my some other buddies and, you know, acquaintances who have gone into studios and stuff and have worked with producers. And like, that's one of the best things about having a producer is they stop you from the relentless, like, let's overdub that, or let's redo this, or let's redo this. Like, no, it's fine. We need to keep moving on. Like, if you think about it, you'll beat it till you'll beat it till it's dead.
Exactly.
You know. So I know that you've actually got an album coming up.
I do.
And what date is that being released?
It's going to be released October 5th.
Awesome. And that's a Friday?
It's a Thursday.
Oh, it is a Thursday.
It's a
Okay,
Thursday.
cool. And where's that show going to be at?
It's going to be at Dan's Silverleaf.
Right on. And I know you've got, who are the other acts that are playing with you?
So Boxcar Bandits is going to open.
Okay.
And then I'm going to play with a full band in the middle. And then the Whiskey Folk Ramblers are going to headline.
Nice. So you're going to be playing with a full band.
Yes.
See, I haven't seen that yet. I haven't seen you play with a full band. So who's all a part of that group?
Okay. I've dubbed them the Denton Wrecking Crew because they're who we were able to bring in for the band. And some of the guys I've played with before. On bass, somebody's played with me a lot, Jacob Dill. Okay. And on drums, Tex Bosley. He's played with pretty much a lot of hard hitters in town. UNT graduate on guitar, Jackson Eli. He played electric, archtop, and steel string, and a classical on this album. So he's a very versatile
got some
guy.
Skills, huh?
Very versatile guy.
That's awesome.
We've got Joe Snow on dobro and lap steel.
Okay, wait. I'm sorry, my ignorance is gonna come through. What's a dobro?
It's like this, like if you've seen a resonator guitar.
I think so.
So you kind of like a lap steel.
Yeah. Okay.
Right? So it's like that, except you play it with these fingers, and it gets this interesting slide sound. It sounds really cool. I want one really bad now that it got put on my album. That sounds cool, and I want one.
Yeah. So if someone walks up to you, and this is a question that's sometimes very hard even for myself to answer, and says, "Matt, what kind of music do you write? What kind of music do you make?" How do you answer that question?
Yeah, well, in my mind, I still consider myself a folk artist. But really, upon release, like finishing this album, I'm just like, what kind of music do I play? who am I anymore? Because it's more of a straight, maybe even Americana album. But
come out with an album now, you have an existential crisis.
I'm not sure if I play folky country music or country folk music. I don't know.
Well, I think that sometimes too, like you can have the debate that like folk music can be country and country music can be folk. You know, it depends on what artist you're listening to. Because I mean, and you can talk to some of the guys who like despise the Nashville country, and then love Sturgill Simpson. And then some people have never even heard of Sturgill but love the Nashville country. And then some people hate this country but love Yonder Mountain String Band, or Old Crow, who just exploded when they did their rendition of Wagon Wheel. So there's that fine, like, I would say that there's a definite line between them, but sometimes they intermingle with each other.
Absolutely. Genres really mess me up. They don't make sense to me sometimes.
I feel like it's good to not get too caught up in the genre. Like you were saying, the song writes itself, and you were saying go with your first instinct. So if that first instinct is the song just starts to write itself, maybe not overthink it so much.
Yeah.
Get out of your own way a little bit. That's awesome, man. Well, I mean, okay, so it's Thursday, October 5th at Dan's. What time does the music start? Do you know?
So Boxcar Bandos will start at 9 p.m.
Okay, cool. And then you'll play at 10, I'm guessing.
Play at 10ish. Yeah.
And then Whiskey Folk.
Ramblers. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So,
Ramblers.
awesome. They'll be on at 11 down at Dan Silverleaf. And I'm guessing there's going to be, is there a cover for the show?
Yeah, there'll be a $10 cover.
Okay, perfect. That's something that I've loved that I've seen a little bit more lately is some covers that have been popping up around town.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I've played many of free shows, but I actually enjoy going and paying for somebody that I know. Where I'm like,
yeah, I do too.
Boom,
It's if you're gonna have a vibrant music scene, you need to be able to get out there and support it.
And I just paid $3 per band.
Yeah.
$3.25 or $3.27 and a half.
I mean,
you know.
It's
So
gonna be a fun night for $10.
yeah,
So
yeah,
It's
exactly.
gonna be a lot
man.
of music.
So we could say it's a cross between some folk and some country. And so do you play the harmonica on the album as well?
I do. Yeah, a couple songs.
So how did you learn to play the harmonica?
I actually started playing the harmonica when I got started in that bluegrass band.
Okay.
I was playing on a little bit
Mm-hmm.
and probably playing it pretty poorly. I thought I was great at the time.
Yeah.
But I was just playing in the key of the song. Now I generally play in a cross harp, so
Mhm.
I'm not going to play in the key. And it was a long time before I really figured out how to play lead harp
Mm-hmm.
with other people. So now I can just carry them around town and sit down in
Yeah.
a jam and pull them out and be fine. But
So
I couldn't do that for a long time. It
You
took-
said in a cross harp.
yeah. So if you're playing an A, I'm going to play to the fourth. So I'll play A, B, C, D. I'm going to play a D.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so it just
Right
helps
on.
you get some. You can play an A and be fine,
Mhm.
but if somebody's playing a lead guitar, it's going to be really boring.
Yeah.
So if you're playing a D, you can get more interesting sounds and bends and stuff, and that's how lead harp
Okay.
really works.
So like that's a way that I was saying, like that's a way that you know music that I don't. Like if you like this guy's playing in an A, so you got to play in a D. Like I know that now. You know, I didn't know that 35 seconds ago. You know, I had no idea. So how, like for those out there who have never played the harmonica, never picked one up before, like if you were going to try to like teach someone how to play the harmonica, like what are some techniques to playing the harmonica? You know, like is there like essentially like mouth positioning, you know, like
Yeah, I would say just go up and down each fret because you basically have a blow motion and a suck motion,
mhm.
and then there's like different techniques you can do with like lip trills and tongue
Yeah.
blocks and stuff like that. But basically just getting used to the different sounds because once you learn one, you have to have a different key for each one. So I carry 7 around, and that's not even, that's not
okay.
even all the ones I need. So
Wow.
that's an expensive habit. They don't,
Yeah.
they have a shelf life. They don't last forever.
Okay, okay. Yeah, man. I had a harmonica when I was a kid, and I used to but there was a guy when I lived in California out of a tent. I remember this kid. He had a harmonica. He could play it like crazy. He could play all these different instruments, clarinet, all this stuff. And so
Yeah.
he sat down one night with another harmonica and just kind of showed me a few things, and then I could do it a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
But I would never be able to actually play with a harmonica, play with a guitar, or sit down in a jam like you're able to do and just know it. So for you, when you sit down and like you're in a jam, does it just kind of click? You're like, oh, I know what key this is. I know what chord this is, or
So, like, my mission is when I'm playing the harmonica is try to sound like a violin. So I may not even know all the like traditional harmonica licks because a lot of it comes out of blues.
mm-hmm.
So I just try to fill in the holes,
So
and be rhythmic, I guess.
so a violin, kind of more of like a swaying motion rather than what you might see on like the blues, like heavy, moving back and forth
Yeah,
real
I
quick.
mean-
More of that kind of a swing
Mm-hmm.
in a way, like a violin when you're playing like I mean,
Yeah.
once again, I guess the fiddle you can really go off on.
True, and it depends on the song, but like I actually, I know everybody in Star Party,
Mhm.
and I'm watching the lines Charla does
Yeah.
on the violin because it's pretty unique violin lines in
Oh,
it,
for
and for
sure.
that band. So I'm like, well, I'm gonna try to imitate that on harmonica, and I've
Nice.
been able to do that, and learning that helped.
That's cool, man.
Fill in
Very cool.
some holes.
So, I mean, we've talked about a lot of stuff so far, man. But one, you kind of mentioned Star Party, and they play shows like all over Denton and stuff. Where
Mhm.
was do you remember where your first show in Denton was?
My first show for me playing.
Yeah, like where Matt Grigsby
Ooh.
was on the bill.
think it was. I want to say it's probably somewhere that wasn't open. That's not open anymore. But it's tempting to say Banter, but I don't think that's correct. I think it was somewhere before that. It might have even been. I'm wondering if it was the Boiler Room then or the Abbey Underground, because I played there early on.
I'll tell you, man, you're not the first person to say, I don't know, it might be closed down. There's many people who've come on the show and they're like, actually, it's not even here anymore. But how do you feel like as you develop as an artist and you're playing some more shows? Because like I said, I saw you up at LSA for the first time. That was like 4 years ago. So we're about 26. 4 years goes by. How have you developed as a performer in those like 4 years of time?
Well, I've definitely written a lot of songs, and I feel I've gotten better. I'm always try to keep myself in a state of experimentation and development, and I think I've done pretty well at that. Finally, I mean, I feel like this album is 4 years in the works, and I hope to have another one within a year. So
yeah,
I've got enough songs for it.
So do you think that is really just kind of developing enough material that you personally enjoyed playing before it was time to put out an album?
Well, yeah, and I didn't want to just put out a collection of songs. I wanted to try to make it, each song moving towards a goal. Everything fits the album.
Like a concept album in a way? Okay.
Yeah.
And is the album, I don't want to give anything away because it's coming out, but is the album, is it kind of telling a story throughout the whole thing, or are things kind of relatable? Like, is it like a book of short stories, or is it like a novel?
It's, I'd say it's more like a novel. It's not, It's not like the story. It's a story that, every piece fits directly together, but it does have this sweep. You can follow what's going on, kind of. Even though some of the songs have nothing to do with each other, they were written with that frame of mind, and so
That's awesome, man. One of the first times because I had never really thought about that when I used to write raps way more often. I met this guy. His name was Wally when I lived in Colorado, and he was the first person ever to introduce me to the idea of writing these concept albums, which was an album that was not, like you said, not every song led into was a continuation. It wasn't like I don't know, a television show where the episode leads into the next episode, but they were relatable. Like, you turn on Law and Order, somebody's going to get arrested, like that. Yeah. There's a basis, but it's always going to be different. And I had never really thought about writing in that way. And I wrote a whole 10-song album and came out with it, and it was terrible. My friends loved it, and people around me liked it, but I couldn't go back and listen to it now. And I like the words, but I'm like, this isn't it's not that good. I'm glad I never sent that to a record label and got denied.
I'm ready to come out with this album so I can delete everything else I've ever done. Nope, this is my first album. Nothing happened before this one.
That's what I was going to ask that. Have you come out with albums or maybe singles, something before?
Yeah, I've released up to this date. I've had a self-titled EP a long time ago. I had one full-length album called Restless and Waiting. I had another EP, acoustic EP called Birds and Squirrels, and now
right on.
This new album, which is Worthy of Love.
The album's called Worthy of Love?
Worthy of Love,
Ooh,
yeah.
I like that. That's nice. See, once again, right in the heartstrings, man. And that was when I saw you over at Bearded Monk. Like I'm saying, man, I can harp on it all day, but I really just felt like you'd fallen into a sound that was so good, and it was your own, and it was unique, and it was familiar but different. It's not one of those things where it's so abstract where you're like, but it's not super familiar. It's where you're like, I've kind of heard this a bunch. I really feel like the combinations, the songwriting, the guitar, everything that you're putting together, man, is excellent. And it really,
Thank you.
Yeah, and it really creates, like I said, a very solemn, thoughtful feeling within the listener. And so when you say that album name, Worthy of Love, like that makes a lot of sense, when I heard the songs. So are a lot of the songs are they about relationships or?
Well, so it's a mixture. A lot of them are either love songs or lack of love songs.
Okay,
but then I also work in things about, working a job because that's a pretty big aspect of people's lives.
Yeah.
And if you do, if you have a job that doesn't make you feel good as a person, it's hard to feel worthy of love. And then I've got a song called "I May Have to Quit Drinking" because if you're drinking a lot, that may have something to do with not feeling worthy of love. So I think those things work into it, and that goes into that thought.
Yeah.
And then you know, songs of just like reconciling the past and such like that. So
you also, and correct me if I'm wrong, but are you the founder, one of the founding people of the Denton Songwriters Guild?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm one of the co-founders.
Very cool. So kind of tell me how that idea developed and everything, and how the Songwriters Guild was built up.
Okay. Sitting around with my buddy Aaron Price, also known as Squigs, one day, and I think it's, you know, an idea we kind of kicked around, and he brought it back up. Like, yeah, we should start this Denton Songwriters Guild, and he went ahead and put up a Facebook page, and like, okay, we're doing this, I guess.
Yeah.
And so we had some initial meetings that kind of formed what would eventually grow into a council and such, and kind of wrote out a game plan, and had our first meeting in the November of 2015.
That's awesome, man. And so how have you seen it grown since November of 2015?
Well, we've finally 501c3 official.
Hey, there you go.
That's
awesome.
We're about to hit our 2-year anniversary in November. So and we'll have our second Denton Folk Festival in March.
Man, I felt like that was just the other day that y'all had that first one, man.
Me too.
That's awesome. You were actually the second nonprofit we've had on, or because Danielle Longville was on here talking about DMAC last week. I'm pretty sure that was last week.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so that was great sitting down and talking with them. So how, if somebody wanted to get involved with the Denton Songwriters Guild, how do they go about doing that?
Okay, the best way is to contact our Facebook, Denton Songwriters Guild. On Facebook, I mean, we have a website that you can contact us through email too, but we probably check the Facebook more reliably. And then just showing up at our public meetings. Our meetings are always free and open to the public, and we're actually having a meeting tomorrow night.
All right, where's it going to be?
It's going to be at Backyard on Bell.
Oh, love that spot.
And we're going to start at 7.
All right.
We're going to, have a brief discussion about things coming up and what we're going to do. But then we're actually going to do a group speed writing. We're going to break up into groups, give the groups themes to work on, and they're going to have 30 minutes to come up with a song.
Man, I'll tell you what, all right? I had this idea a while back, but I stole it from you slightly. But I was like, man, I want like the Denton Beatmakers Guild. And I told my buddies, I was like, let's just get like 5 of us together. We'll bring our computers, and we all sit down. We all get 10 minutes at everybody's station because we all use the same thing to produce, and so we can all sit down and do this. It never really came to fruition, it just kind of boggled apart. But like that's awesome. That's awesome that you're like, it's a speed writing. Yeah. So speed beat making if you're out there.
Speed beat making.
Yeah.
I'm trying to. We haven't really had any rappers or anything else like that show up. It's pretty much been either singer-songwriter, acoustic players, or poets. We have people that will just come read in their lyrics and stuff.
Cool.
And
that's cool.
That's fine.
Have there ever been poems maybe like, so when you sit down and you start to write lyrics, do they ever start off as poems and turn into songs, or is it kind of you all, like you were saying, you have that melody?
I mean, they may be poetic lyrics, but no, they're generally pretty lyrically driven.
Set with the guitar and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Has it been different for you playing with a lot of people, playing with a band as compared to being up there by yourself?
Yeah. It's one, because when I'm by myself, a lot of my stuff is pretty folky, and I take a lot of rhythmic advantages, So when I have a bass player and a drummer, they're holding me accountable, so I have to stay the same rhythm, and it's it's just a bigger sound. It takes it in different directions, and it's fun. So I'm looking forward to playing with a studio band, because I've never played with a band as large as that. Doing my own stuff anyway.
That's cool, man. And so is the first live show that you're playing with these guys the one at Dan's?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, yes.
Yeah, I haven't really been booking very much.
Very cool,
Trying to pull my punches until the release. So
very cool. Well, we've got a few minutes left, man. And so one more time. Actually, hold on. I can't forget this. Sorry, I've got to plug a show on your own show. So we've actually got some tickets we're giving away for Whiskey Myers at the Rockin' Rodeo September 21st on Thursday. So you can either comment, like, or share the post, and we will choose a winner. Well, someone will choose a winner. I don't know someone who runs this place. It won't be me, though. I don't get those kind of privilege. I just get to talk to the wonderful people like Matt Grigsby over here. here. All right. So that show, once again, is going to be on October 5th. That's Thursday at
night.
Dan Silverleaf.
Yeah.
All right. And one more time, give me the lineup.
Okay, so it starts at 9. We got Boxcar Bandits at 9, Matt Grigsby full band at 10, and then Whiskey Folk Ramblers at 11.
Nice. Now I have one other question to ask you before we get to the most important question of the night. Okay. So I've run sound down at Backyard for a little bit. I've been doing it for like 2 months, you know. One thing, I have no idea who that is, but I'm always hyped.
That was one of our council members
when
for
random
the
girls come
Songwriters
running up
Guild.
to the window and wave. Like, that's always cool. So if let's say, okay, you said they start at 9 and the next big and you start at 10.
Uh-huh.
So how long of a set does that give the first band?
Oh, 45, 50 minutes.
Okay, good.
So,
See, that is something that I didn't realize at first. I was like, oh, wait, they're supposed to start at this time, which means your set is 45 minutes, not the full hour.
Right. Now I'm going to play a long set.
Well, it's your night, bro.
It's my night.
It's your night.
I'm
Exactly.
Gonna do it.
Exactly. And
we're into the show by midnight.
and once again, the album is called Worthy of Love.
Worthy of Love.
I can't wait for that to come out, man. Is it going to be available on any kind of social media where we can purchase the album?
For sure. It'll be available in any online store.
Okay.
It'll be on my own website. It'll be on Bandcamp. Anywhere you can think of purchasing an album, it'll be there.
And what is your website?
Currently, it's MatthewGrigsby.com, but hopefully by the release, it's going to be MattGrigsbyMusic.com. I'm going to have both.
Awesome, dude. That's what's up. So now we get to the most important question of the night, man.
All right.
It's, what I need to know is, man, what is your favorite snack?
Oh, see, this is a tough one because I went vegan a few months ago.
Oh, man. See, this happened with Carly Reese. She was like, I used to love peanut butter cups, but apparently she can't eat them anymore. I told her Oreos.
You can find vegan peanut
she
butter
said
cups.
They're terrible.
Oh, whatever. I'll find her some. Vegan snack. I make these peanut butter. I'm not sorry. Well, you can use peanut butter, but these banana cookies. You just mash bananas, mix them with some ground whole oats. And you can mix mint or chocolate or peanut butter in there and just bake them for a little while. And you've got these rubbery banana discs.
Nice.
And they're really good.
maybe one night when the pantries are empty, but I got peanut butter and some oats and bananas.
Yeah.
Smell me like,
that's
thank you, Matt.
easy.
Smash this up right here. Oh, man, that's awesome, dude. I guess there's you can make pancakes out of bananas too. You can smash them up and make them that way.
Or you could just, if you take really ripe bananas and you could mash them and then freeze them.
Ooh.
You got banana ice cream.
So many banana ideas. Matt Grigsby, not only writing great music, but all the vegan recipes you can get your hands on, ladies and gentlemen. Well, hey, Matt, thank you so much for coming on tonight, dude. It's been a pleasure to sit down and talk with you, man. Everybody stick around. We've got another great program coming up. The Denton Vibe with Ellie is up next. Once again, y'all, comment, share the video for a chance to win these Whiskey Myers tickets going down at Rockin' Rodeo. Everybody, Matt Grigsby, October 5th, Dan Silverleaf, album release party. Be there. Stay cool. Stay tuned in right here on DentonRadio.com. We'll see you next time.
Well, thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the show. Be sure to check out DentonRadio.com for new Denton artists and where they're playing next. While you're surfing the internet, make sure you check out our friends Classic of Denton at ClassicofDenton.com.